What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest episode of All About the Birds, the weekly report, the flagship show on the network. We're the pinnacle of the podcasting Philadelphia area, the best there is in the business. So welcome to the show, everybody. What's up to everybody tuning in? Make sure you click and share on Facebook, retweet on Twitter, share it with all your friends, your family, everybody. Let them know to tune in and join the conversation tonight. We got a fun-filled show. I am Phil Stiefel, as always, joined by Chowie Kegsman. We might need to talk to Chowie Kegsman tonight, Chip.
I'll see if I can do it.
Yeah, we got Johnny Uleka and we got Jeff Warner. We're all here. We got lots to get into tonight. But real quick, we got to shout out all of our great sponsors. The list of sponsors is growing each week as we go on here. Of course, Hemp Bombs, premium CBD products, AAT Birds for 20% off, 99 jerseys, the best, coolest jerseys there are on the market. Again, 20% off with AAT Birds. Of course, there's the newer sponsor, Manscaped. Your balls will thank you for sure. 20% off and free shipping with the promo code AAT Birds. And we have a new sponsor, Statement Games. They're a great free fantasy site. You pick your statements, you rank them in order, you win free prizes, free to enter. I'm going to throw up a link later in the show on how to join Statement Games, and stay tuned to our YouTube page only, where we're going to have a YouTube exclusive show called The Ultimate Statement coming really soon. But of course, the best way to support us, aatbirds.com/shop. Got the best t-shirts, logos, designs, hats, stickers, you name it, we got it. Check it out anytime after the show. Support us as much as we can. Yeah, look at some of these great designs. Nobody likes us, we do care. You know, my favorite one right there, Fairway to Heaven. Tuesday nights, best golf show there is. Cheap plug there. All right, gentlemen. Yeah, that's right. We set the trends. That's right. Just throw all the pictures up there, all on the screen tonight.
Was that a shot at someone?
No, there's never a shot at anybody, because there's no dysfunction, there's no paranoia, there's no mismanagement like there is with the Eagles. Today's main topic right there, dysfunction, paranoia, mismanagement, or the status quo for how business is done in Philly. You guys know what we're talking about. For those that are tuning in, there's a huge report, a huge article on The Athletic this week from Sheila Kapadia, Bo Wolf, Zach Berman, basically breaking down the dysfunction that is the Eagles front office. So I'll start with you, Chip. What are your initial thoughts of this report? I'm sure you read the article. Is the term downfall that is in its article's headline a bit much and a bit fair?
So I just had to start by saying I hate this team right now. It is exhausting to be an Eagles fan. The fact that we have a thirst, a desire to stay in the news every single week. Like, this is supposed to be the downtime. Now, as Eagles podcasters, it's great because we always have something to talk about. The shows write themselves. It's fantastic. But goddamn, I am exhausted. Reading this article, I look at this thing and I go, well, number one, what exactly is different from the article that came out just a couple of weeks ago with Jeff McClain? Because it basically was almost a repeat of a lot of it with some slight new information. If you look at the last 15, 20 years, you're starting to see people who don't know the game of football take more of a leadership role in football, and it's starting to show. So we'll have like a fluke season of 2017 where we do amazing, great things, but everything else, we've kind of just been a middle-of-the-road franchise, and with these lofty expectations of, oh, okay, well, we're this great NFL franchise, the new normal, the new way of doing things. It's not that different. It hasn't been that different. And the desire and the need to be talked about, like, it's high school. The organization of the Philadelphia Eagles is a high school, thirsty, most desired, most need to be loved kind of person. It's ridiculous. I'm exhausted and it's April.
You're exhausted. Johnny, where are you on the initial? We're going to dive into a load of different aspects of this article. Where are you initially after reading this article?
Well, it's the one comment there, business as usual with the Eagles. It just seems every single week you got something new comes out, or something not new, something we already know, but just a little bit deeper. To me, it like feels like Chip said, it is exhausting. It's just week in and week out. It's almost like, let's just get the draft over. Let's just get the draft. But then it's like, are they going to make the right picks? And then it's like, oh, let's get the season. And it's just like, let's just ramp this up a little bit because this is just getting a little out of hand. And like, what's next? That's basically my next thing is, what the hell is next?
Right.
So Jeff, I actually, when I said, is it fair, the term, the downfall, I thought I'm a big Howie basher. I say Howie does the things the wrong way, but is the term downfall in that initial, opening paragraph in the title unfair? Because I thought someone would say, we have won a Super Bowl recently. We have won more division titles than anybody else in our division. We do make the playoffs 60-70% of the time. So is the downfall term and the spin that these writers are putting on it a little unfair? Or are we all right in saying that this is, business as usual? This is what we expect out of the Eagles organization?
I feel the term downfall is a great term to describe this team and this front office right now. The thing is, none of this is really new. Like Chip brought up, this is something that we have been discussing for months now. And I understand the fan base feels that this is somewhat of a smear campaign towards Howie and towards Jeffrey. That's not the case. We would not have multiple reporters and multiple articles on the same situation if they are not getting quality content and quality information from these sources. These guys are professionals, and they are not going to go out there and ruin their reputation as journalists to write up bullshit that just to try to get back at the franchise. And the one thing that's worrisome is this is never going to change. Jeffrey Lurie has figured, or he thinks in his mind, that they were able to win a Super Bowl running the organization this way, with him and Howie making the decisions and making the final say on a lot of things when it comes to this roster and come to this franchise. It's never going to change because in his eyes, we won it before, we'll do it again, we'll find a way to do it.
And the thing that gets me, the thing that gets me is, and maybe it's because we're in the Philadelphia area, maybe it's because we're in the Eagles bubble that we hear about this nonstop, but look at some of the dominant team. You don't hear tell-all smear stories coming out of New England.
Nope.
You don't hear what it took to get Tom Brady up to the level it did in Tampa Bay this season. You don't hear these things. So the fact that it's coming out of Philadelphia means that we are not the high content quality of the NFL that we are insisting that we are. It's not true. It's not true.
Well, then before we die, so then again, I'm not trying to support Howie Roseman at all. I'm just trying to bring, multiple sides to the table for you guys to discuss. Then was the Super Bowl win a fluke? Was it just luck? Just lightning in a bottle, guys?
Yes. We know that.
A little bit, but no.
We know that. We know that it was the season that he made all the right moves at one time.
So I will counter that with saying then that's probably why Jeffrey Lurie accepts this and runs this way, is because he did win that Super Bowl, which is the number one thing that an organization wants to do, is win a Super Bowl. There are plenty of teams that haven't won a Super Bowl yet. So this is not going to end anytime soon because he's done it this way for how long, and he got that trophy. So anyway, real quick, Jeff had set me up for the segue. Chip changed,
I got heated for a second again.
So the first part of this article that I wanted to touch on was the Tuesday Tribunals for Doug Pederson. All right. So for those that didn't read the article, so basically every Tuesday after every single game during Doug Pederson's tenure here, and after reading this part, if this is accurate, no, I'm surprised Doug Pederson didn't quit sooner. Doug Pederson would have to sit down with Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie and go over every single, aspect of the game. Even if they won the game, why didn't you do this? The analytics report says do this and you didn't do it. I don't care what the results were. Johnny, you want to go first on this? I mean, it's insane to think about this because they brought up the Green Bay win in 2019 and why he ran the ball, because that's what the game plan said to do against a bad run defense. But he got in trouble because he didn't pass the ball more.
I think what it comes down to when you look at Doug Pederson, you look at these Tuesday meetings, Tuesdays with Lurie. To me, I feel that Pederson was in that position, and it's almost like he was like the redheaded stepchild. I don't know if something of that aspect of they really never really wanted him to be the guy, and it just seemed like they tried to find every little thing to bash him. It happens everywhere in terms of if you work with someone or something like that. Or the thing is, if in their minds, if he wasn't fully fit for the position, and what they're doing is bashing him every little way they can, even if he's doing something right, even if they're winning the game, to say, hey, you didn't run the ball. Same thing with the Buffalo game, the 20, 30 mile an hour wins, yet they ran the ball, they won the game, but it wasn't enough because Lurie wants passing. Lurie wants high offense, high octane offense and everything. So
here, I got a way to phrase, Johnny, you gave me an idea how to rephrase this topic here for the other two. So Doug nobody wanted Doug to be the head coach. But maybe the Eagles did. And you could draw the correlation with Nick Sirianni. Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie want a coach they can control. And Doug Pederson was a coach. He wasn't on anybody's coaching radar, just like Nick Sirianni was not. Then Doug Pederson got some success, and they were instantly ready to ship him out of here because once Doug Pederson got that success, his head, I don't want to say his head got bigger, but maybe he had some ground to stand on to stand up for himself. Is there any thought to that?
Absolutely. And I think, look, when you have to look at the past couple head coaches. So we know that when Andy Reid was the coach here, it was his show. Why? Because he backed it up over the course of his coaching career. So it got to a point where it had to fall off the rails for them to go, okay, listen, Andy, you lost the locker room. It's time for you to go. And he got hired within, a week of getting fired from you? Yeah. Chip Kelly comes in. He has a little bit of success in that first season, and he starts demanding more. And they go, all right, we'll give you a little leeway. And that team explodes. So when they hired Doug Pederson, it was with the understanding of you're not going to get free reign like Andy had because you haven't earned it. And you're not going to get free reign like Chip Kelly had because we just saw it didn't work. You're going to have to play our game. And Doug Pederson, who has been in the NFL for all the years that he was, who has coached, who has done all these things, felt like, hey, I that's fine at first, but now I'm a Super Bowl winning coach. I've now earned that leeway that Andy earned. Nick Sirianni, he was on nobody's list. So he is coming in. Until he has that success, he's going to have to sit down for these Tuesday tribunals. And then, like you said, once he starts finding that success, that's when he'll maybe start pushing back. But from everything we've seen, Nick Sirianni just likes talking football. So maybe he'll enjoy the Tuesday tribunals.
Jeff, anything to add to the Tuesday tribunal? By the way, I love the term the Tuesday tribunal.
That's fantastic.
You know, I don't know which one of the three that wrote this article threw that part of it in there. I love that term right there.
Look, no head coach in their right mind is good. I understand it's Larry's team. I understand he's the owner of the franchise, and as a head coach, he is your boss. So, okay, if you're going to have these meetings every now and then, that's fine. But the undermine and basically nitpick at every little thing you do as a head coach every single freaking week for 3-4+ seasons on a weekly basis, no man in the right mind is going to go here to the city of Philadelphia to be a head coach. Honestly, if this happens to Sirianni as well, I don't know if he lasts here much longer. What head coach in his right mind is going to sit for an organ or work for an organization that is going to hire you for a job and you're going to basically treat you like a child and micromanage every little thing you do when your job as a head coach is to get your team ready for game day?
So something funny that you say there, if this happens with Sirianni and the same stories start coming out with Sirianni, no coach is going to want to come here.
No.
None of them. If the same things happen to Doug Pederson that happens to Nick Sirianni, it's going to be it's going to be impossible to find a coach that wants to come here.
Except remember, like you, Phil, have said so many times on this show, there are only 32 head coaching jobs.
Right.
So someone's going to take the job, and that's where we're at right now. Nick Sirianni is
Hold on. I'm going to counter that. Someone would take the job, but the thing is, when they interview the guys with the experience, like the Josh McDaniels or the Joe Brady's or whoever else out there, they're just going to say, thanks for the interview, but I don't want the job. You
Absolutely.
Joe Brady or Josh McDaniels didn't want this job. They wanted this job until they met with Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie.
That and this, if this management continues to go through coaches as much as they do, that's going to deter other big name free agents that come here to the city of Philadelphia, because we keep on talking about after this offseason, after this year, we have all the money in the world to play with to try to build this team back to where it needs to belong. We don't know if these guys are going to want to come here, because the two most enticing factors when it comes to free agents is the head coach and the quarterback. Right now, neither one of those are very enticing, and if you have a management on top of it that is very meddling in the day-to-day operations with your head coach and with the team, and continues to have a GM that puts your players down in front of their other colleagues in the locker room, no one wants to put up with that crap. You're not going to have a head coach. You're not going to have free agents. You're not going to have a team to really assemble, and we're going to be a laughingstock for the franchise until Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman gets this shit under control.
But exactly.
So the next part of the article was about the coaches, about the fact that Doug Pederson didn't have say over his coaches. Johnny, I'll let you tackle this part of it. Lurie, made it clear, fire, Frank Reich. Doug Pederson put his foot down. He won that fight. But then in the offseason, there was talk that Jim Schwartz was going to be taking over in 2017 if Doug struggled a little bit. Yep. The fact that Doug had to go after publicly saying his assistants were going to be back and then fire him. Lurie didn't fire them. He made Doug fire them. So it's kind of like a big brother, or a bully telling, someone else what to do. That's another way that there's no way that people are going to want to coach, assistant coach, or play here.
Yeah, and the thing with, like you said, 2017, they talked to Jim Schwartz about taking over, like you said, if Doug were to be let go early. Right there shows you that they really had no confidence in Doug as a coach. Doing the firings and who he's hiring and all this. But if you have no confidence in somebody or something or any, really, for me, it's the micromanaging is going to be with that, because if you have no confidence in that person able to run the show or able to do things that you want them to do, you're going to be micromanaged. And Doug Pederson was micromanaged, because I just don't and you saw it a lot this year, because he was beaten down. Every single press conference he had, beat down. Even 2018, you kind of saw that as well. But it makes a lot of sense as what we're seeing and what we're hearing. But do you really have, like, all the fans didn't have any confidence in the coaches that he wanted to bring back, or the coaches that he wanted? So, the management's there every single day, and the upper management. So for them, they get the first eye glance at everything that he's doing. To me, they never really wanted him there in the first place. He lucked into that Super Bowl. If he didn't win that Super Bowl, he would have been gone.
And one thing that I think is interesting to bring up to your point, Johnny, is when the conversation began towards the end of this season about should Doug be fired, we heard a ton of, if they're dumb enough to fire him, he's going to get a job immediately. Is Doug Pederson either A, not as good of a head coach as his record indicates, which I think is what we believe, and B, is he so burned out by the last couple seasons that he's like, you know what, I'm going to take this season off because hell no, I'm not doing this again right now.
I kind of think that's what Jim Schwartz planned on doing too, saying, I want a break. And I mean, he's signed back with the Titans, but it's more of an advisory role.
He lives in Tennessee though too.
Yeah,
it's
not
really
that
big of a deal.
The thing that the first half of the article, and we're going to get into the analytics part of the article in a second here, that really stood out. Like, I love this quote here, an anonymous source, because again, these writers aren't getting these. They're not going to reveal their sources because they'll never get these kind of quotes again. The fact that Doug had the success he did with all the shit going on in the building, sometimes I look at my Super Bowl ring and say, holy cow, I don't know how he did it. I mean, that pretty much sums it all up there, doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, I don't think there's anything else to say there. I mean, not only, do the assistants notice it, the coaches notice, the players obviously see it, the front office people, everybody in that building that interacts with each other sees this. And it's sad to see our franchise come to this.
But are we surprised? Are we surprised at this point when it's being run the way it is?
We've seen it the last couple of years and what they're doing, and you could pinpoint, you put your finger on what's going on, and it's frustrating as a fan base. You're watching the product, and it's not really what you want it to be.
A random question for you guys on this topic. The rumors that Jeffrey Lurie sat down with Jim Schwartz and said, we're not sure about Doug Pederson. We might let him go if he gets off to a slow start. As Jim Schwartz, what do you think was going through Jim Schwartz's head? Like, what the hell did I get myself into, Jeff?
How quickly I can pack my bag and get the hell out of town because I'm not working for this organization without Doug Pederson being here as my head coach.
You have to remember,
I think that's what went through his head. Like he didn't want that promotion.
Not for this organization.
Well, you have to remember, who did they hire first after they fired Chip Kelly? They hired the defensive coordinator. They hired Jim Schwartz first.
He was the first, And that's never a good sign when your coach doesn't even get to pick his defensive coordinator. That just sums up we should have seen the writing on the wall at that point.
But I don't necessarily think that Jim Schwartz may have felt that way. I feel like he was more along the lines of, okay, cool, I'm going to get to run a team again because I fizzled out at my other coaching jobs because there are still only 32 head coaching jobs. So now Jim Schwartz is out the door because he doesn't want to be a part of the new regime. But back then, okay, cool, I can link into a coaching job. I can do that. That's why he always had this air of head coach 1 and head coach 1A, which we know was also an issue from a different story.
I agree with you that Jim Schwartz, he definitely wants another head coaching position before he ends up calling quits, which is why I think he's went to Tennessee, because if something happens with Mike Vrabel and they decide to move on from him, he has that connection with the defense coordinator currently there since he's monitoring him. He's lives in Nashville. His doctors are there, so it'll be a good fit for him. I agree with him. He wanted another position, another shot, but in his eyes, I feel that he did not think that Philadelphia was going to be the right decision, knowing what Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman did with Doug Pederson. Because I'm sure Dougie P told Jim Schwartz on a weekly basis, I got my ass chewed out by management. This is what we have to do and this and that. And Jim Schwartz is a very old style type of coach where, he's going to listen to management. But he's going to do his own damn thing. He's going to run the team the way he wants to run it. He's not going to ask any opinions or any thoughts from front office on how to coach a football team.
How crazy is it?
I want to shout something out because I noticed former Eagle Jeremy Bridges was in the comment section. He was checking if he's still watching. I would love his thoughts on a former player, a guy that played in multiple NFL locker rooms, how much of this they realize and how it affects them, how it affects them playing, getting themselves ready, knowing that the organization that they play for is a total train wreck and dysfunctional. So if he's still watching, Jeremy, just drop it. I would love to know your thoughts on it.
Real quick, update Sixers. They did win 123 to 117 over Brooklyn. So just a little Sixers update there for our
now
viewers.
you can all focus on Eagles dysfunction. Now that the Sixers.
I think it's interesting though that we're talking about Jim Schwartz and whether or not he wanted this head coaching job. He coached in Detroit. If this is a job that is not as appealing as the Detroit Lions, sorry, Jason Sullivan, I know that's a little bit of a slap on your peoples there.
He knows it. He admits it.
I mean, we're not going to over here bite any kneecaps. I know that's also the new Detroit mantra. But again, Jim Schwartz didn't want to coach here. That says that's the sentence right there. Jim Schwartz no longer wanted to coach here.
I think that Jim Schwartz might have been their first choice to replace Doug Pederson this offseason.
He's like, no, I'm retiring.
They may have even talked to him about that at some point. But he said before they even knew anything was going on, before they even fired Doug, he was like, peace out. Go Birds. I'm out.
It's a no for me, dog.
Yeah, it's a no. It's a no. Total no. All right, so one of the things I say all the time when you guys say a random name, especially Johnny with his college players, I say, who? Who? So I read in the article, then I see the name Alec Halaby.
Oh, God.
Who? Who's this guy, this Ivy League exec? I mean, I don't know every executive on the Eagles. Johnny probably knows the college he went to and the high school and his elementary school football stats.
His 40 time.
Yeah, his 40 time, his sleep and all. But there's way too much in this article about some dude that has who's Alex Halaby and why does he have so much sway on what's going on behind the scenes?
You know what it is? This is what it is. I'll put a little movie reference for you. So,
okay.
Halaby.
Is it a bad movie? Because I only like bad movie references.
Kind of. Halaby and Howie Roseman, because he's a Howie guy. Those two guys are basically stepbrothers, and then Jeffrey Lurie is the father. It's basically it's a shit show. If they're letting. Basically, he's close relationship with Jeffrey Lurie because he's friends with his son Julian. To me, that just screams disaster. The friend of the friend of the father's the friend. It's a disaster to do this.
So here's the thing, and I'll throw it to you guys, other guys. It's not even like he has to answer to his boss Howie Roseman. The article is clear as day that's saying that this Alex Halaby guy only answers to one person, Jeffrey Lurie. And the fact that the general manager of the team gets skipped over, I mean, it's pretty embarrassing.
Here's what infuriates me. You have this Alex Halaby guy, and he is the He is the central figure of a section of this story. Alex Halaby is not a football guy. He is a Howie guy. He doesn't.
Howie isn't a football guy either.
And that's my point. You have all of these non-football guys running a football organization. And you had a guy like John Dorsey, who is a football guy in the house. And what happens? He's the guy that's not in anymore. That should tell you are having two. Look, we're Philadelphians, right? We just got rid of Gabe Kapler because of too much analytics. The analytics that I look,
but the Giants are looking pretty good though. Go on.
Stop. The Giants are trash.
Really? Look, we have too many people reading spreadsheets and not understanding the game at its core. And that's where I think the dysfunction is starting to grow. All sports. I
could say that Jeffrey Lurie is a bigger football mind than Howie Roseman and Alex whoever, because at least he's owned a team for the last 26 years. Mm-hmm. So at least he has some football experience at this point. Jeff, right. Is there too much analytics going on with this Alex dude? His 4-man team, his 4 horsemen?
Money football, baby.
Yeah.
Exactly, but I don't know too much behind the scenes and all that, but anyone that has to listen to Howie and listen to Jeffrey right now is bad news in my book. Nothing against the guy. I don't know much about him or anything, but this Howie and Jeffrey is this fan base, and as we know, they are turning this franchise into a dumpster fire. And the fact that they are going to this kid, or this kid has to answer to them, and dude, leave town now. If you want to if you want to have any chance of making it in this league as any type of upper management, leave this leave this franchise right now, I would have to say, because right now, those two goons are not the two people to steer you clear and guide you in this business.
And George, I saw your comment.
What?
I saw George's comment too.
I'm not saying Lurie's a football guy. I'm saying he has more football knowledge probably than Howie,
right,
and whoever Alex is.
Right. I saw George's comment basically saying, why are we blaming Howie when we should be blaming Lurie? We've been blaming Lurie.
Absolutely.
On this program for months now. We have been blaming Lurie, saying if he is giving directives that Howie has to follow to the letter, number one, Howie's never going to get fired because he's got a puppet as the GM. Mm-hmm. But number two, Jeffrey Lurie is the problem. That's why we have started deeming him Jeffrey Jones.
Yeah, but
Jerry Lurie.
Howie will not get fired because if Jeffrey fires Howie, he's essentially firing himself, which is not going to happen.
Exactly.
So then, okay, so Blackline HD is bringing up a comment here. Kelsey coming back with this shit show. You know, there are several veterans. You've got the Lane Johnsons and the Brandon Brooks restructuring their deals. There are guys that are loyal. Now, is it more so because they're loyal to the city and the fan base? And that
I think they're loyal to. I think they're loyal to their locker room.
They're loyal to their locker room. Someone like Jason, Jason Kelsey, he could have easily hung it up. He could have easily gone elsewhere this offseason, but he's sticking it out for some unknown reason.
That and a lot of these guys, these veterans on the last end of their career, especially a guy like Kelsey who contemplates retirement year in and year out, he does not want to end his career on that sour note of a 4-12 season that they had last year. So I think when it pertains to Kelsey, he's a competitor. He loves the sport. He loves the city. There's no doubt about all of that. But he's also a competitor, and he wants to win. And that way that they lost and the way they played last season, he doesn't want the city of Philadelphia to remember him for that. Even though he wasn't the reason for them to be as bad as they were. He's the only guy that was competing all 16 games, whether he had a broken arm or basically in a sling.
So the next part of the article, and again, we're talking about players sticking it out and loving this. You know, one of all of our favorite, if not our favorite player of all time, came back in 2016 to be an advisor to the front office in Brian Dawkins. And basically the article goes into depth about how he had to give the front office this fiery speech about, less infighting, work as a team, don't have your divisions. There was an earlier comment in the article about, the factions. This isn't a WWE, locker room. This isn't like the NWO versus DX. This is a football franchise here. And the fact that Brian Dawkins had to give the speech, and also I don't know the full reasons why, he only lasted in the front office for a couple years. I mean, Brian Dawkins coming out and saying things like this and making comments, I mean, it says even more on top of what we've already just said.
Well, it's accountability. It's accountability, Phil. Why did he not last? Because he was holding people accountable that aren't used to it. So how do you replace that? You get rid of the guy holding you accountable. Look, the one of the biggest issues that I'm finding about this Philadelphia Eagles organization is you have too many people with their hands in the pot, right? A good organization should be, ideally, the GM and the head coach working together very well. The head coach saying, this is what I need. The GM going, this is what I can give you. And they work together. And then the head coach runs the football. The GM runs everything else that is surrounding the football. That's not what happens here.
Nope.
See, the thing is here, I'm going to counter that. It's not that there's too many hands in the pot. It's that there's one person stirring the pot, and he's not taking any advice from any of his other sous chefs that are telling him, hey, you might need a little bit more salt. You might need a little bit more pepper in this.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's not that there's too many hands in the pot. It's the person in charge of the pot that is not listening to one of the – he's got his analytics department. He's got Howie. He's got his coaches. Jeffrey Lurie is not listening to anybody. And that's where actually the problem is coming from, I think.
I agree totally. And I saw Javier's Ryan's comment from earlier, basically, why do you have to be a football guy to be a CEO? Do you think the CEO of Pep Boys knows how to change a tire? He might, but guess what? He at least, if he has a tire issue, will then get it fixed from somebody who knows what they're doing. He'll listen to advice. The CEO of Pep Boys, in your analogy, won't stand over the guy fixing his tire's shoulder going, "You're doing that wrong. That's not the way I want you to do it. Please stop that." That's what's happening in Philadelphia.
And again, on Ryan's comment, I was going to say something, but I just ignored it and all. Look, I guess you can call me a CEO. I own my own pizza shop. I know about pizza. I wouldn't own a pizza shop without knowing something. But you know what? I trust my employees to do the job that I've trained them to do and that I've entrusted them to do. And Howie Roseman or Jeffrey Lurie isn't trusting the coaches, Howie Roseman, to do the job he's hired them to do. Johnny.
But the one interesting thing that I did see was back in 2019, I know everyone, the whole J.J. Arcega-Whiteside pick, and they strayed away from all the analysts and all the scout stuff. They wanted Paris Campbell, who Paris Campbell has done absolutely nothing in the league, has done worse than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So,
which is saying something.
Yeah, I'm going to segue later in the show back to JJ, just so you know. I got a great I got a great story on JJ later in the show.
But like that's just something you notice. I know Jeffrey Lurie likes to get the tape and likes to watch these prospects and do all this kind of stuff. But then again, why have scouts if you're the one that's going to be doing this? That's the one interesting part. And I know Daniel Jeremiah talked today this week with John Clark about, he's involved. He was involved, but not interference. Jeremiah was with the team from 2010 to 12. He was involved. He wanted to know the thoughts of the scouts. He wanted to know why they think this player. He was, involved, but he didn't interfere. And I did talk to another former scout who was with the Eagles when Lurie purchased the team all the way up until 2000, and he said there was no interference. Now that's a while ago, it's over 20 years ago, but just a little bit of tidbits I wanted to somewhat get about Lurie, about the interfering that was mentioned. So
that was before analytics.
That was before your contending football team too.
But I do value Daniel Jeremiah's opinion a lot because he was recently with the team, and he has a lot of inside info.
All the opinions of all the writers that wrote this. It's not like these were podcasters that have no experience writing this article. These were legit people writing this article that, so we could trust the content in this article.
The only thing
it was a collaborative effort too. That's important to me.
I'll say the only thing I did have a little knock on the article about you bringing up Dawkins is why didn't anyone speak to Dawkins or try to get some type of quote about this situation and hear from the horse's mouth and hear from him on what maybe he saw between Lurie and Howie and Doug and all that type of stuff. Yeah. And answer your question about why didn't Doc last longer is dude's a family man. He still lives in Denver. His son was getting older, playing high school ball, playing extremely well. For him to be going back and forth or staying in Philly, whatever his obligations or whatever his arrangements were, he doesn't want to miss his family time. So I honestly feel once they won that Super Bowl, he knew it was his time to move on for the time being until his kids in college or his kids are playing in the NFL, since he's going to be playing college football, I believe, this year and next year. So that was the reasoning for Doc leaving as soon as he did.
And I get what you're saying that, why did they interview? I don't recall them saying that did they say in the article that they reached out to Dawkins? I forget.
No, I don't believe it.
Okay. At least say that, at least say in the article we reached out to Brian, for a comment on this and he declined or he just never got back to us. But, again, on the flip side of the equation, these are veterans in the Philly media. They did their research on this article. And I'm not taking anything away from Jeff McClain's reports. Jeff McClain was one guy that's got a reputation that did the report on his own. This is three guys working together to build this story. So there's a little bit more in this collaborative effort than the Jeff McClain.
And Bo Wolf also, he used to be an intern and work for the Philadelphia Eagles. He used to work on their website with Chris McPherson and also David.
That's why we have an Eagles insider, former Eagles insider on our team here. A guy that used to have the press credentials. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have the sources that maybe Bo knows or Bo has from his time as an intern.
All right, so before we
Bono-
sum this
Bono no
topic
diddly.
up, we got to segue, all this dysfunction, and we talk about players and coaches not wanting to be here, and we got a roster to fill out. Obviously, you need, 95 guys for training camp or whatever it is, and they bring Jordan Howard in. And I triggered so many people on Twitter yesterday, or 2 days ago after that press conference saying, I don't care, it's a waste, whatever, give the young kids a thing. But he said in his press conference, he was not wanted anywhere. There was literally zero market for him, and he was considering calling it quits. Yet Howie called. So again, is this more dysfunction? Is this more issues? Is this more, did Jeffrey say, fill out this? Well, I know we wanted to talk about, you guys wanted to talk about Jordan Howard again and, and Wilson again.
Yep.
This is the only part of it I want to talk about is what this says about this organization, that nobody in the NFL wanted Jordan Howard.
So again, and I said this last week, I don't mind the Eric Wilson signing. I think that is a service.
Yeah, here we go again. I'm more trying to talk about Jordan Howard equaling the dysfunction in this organization.
I was trying to ease into it.
I was trying to ease into it. Talking the same thing over and over again.
Right. I was trying to ease into it. I don't mind Eric Wilson. Y'all ever see the movie Major League?
Love it.
Of course. Best baseball movie. Well, one of the best baseball movies.
One of the best.
Who the F are these guys? Right? Jordan Howard is... They found him down in Mexico somewhere putting ice on his knees and his feet and his Achilles, and they go, he's going to play catcher for... Jordan Howard has no tread left on his tires. Jordan Howard was a no dress for multiple games last season in this organization after it was a big deal that they re-signed him. Look,
new regime.
Johnny's
I get the new regime.
Exactly. Johnny Uleka Killins.
But it's a new regime. Why bring in the same old guys? I had a whole list of players that they could have signed. And again, I understand guaranteed contracts. I understand versus non-guaranteed contracts. I understand the difference of, what Connor got in Arizona. I get all of that. The problem is that when the player himself stands at the podium and is asked, hey, what did you think of the whole free agency process? And he goes, I was about to retire. I was getting no phone calls. I am shocked that I am a Philadelphia Eagle right now. That's a problem. That's a player who has given up on himself, given up on his career. That cannot be in this new locker room.
And George is bringing up that he had one bad year, and that's not the point of it. It's the point that he knew he was, just like you said, he was done. He was washed up. He was ready to file that paperwork to put in for his retirement. And Howie called him, and so that to me just shows that the Eagles front office doesn't have a pulse,
right?
And similar pulse to the rest of the NFL.
Look, I know that it was a cheap deal. I know that it's a not guaranteed.
And it's a deal that he might not even make the team.
I get all of that, but why not utilize the guys that you have not seen what they actually have? Why not use Killians? Why not see Holyfield? Why not see any of these players that you had?
You'll see those
What'd you
guys.
say? Yeah, but why give a rep to Jordan Howard? You know what he is.
There is some practice reps, Johnny, going to Jordan Howard that could go to your boy Killins. When Killins does not make the team next year because he lost out on 3 practice reps to Jordan Howard, I'm going to say, see, I told you so.
Killins is a totally different running back than Jordan Howard. So you're trying to compare.
Running back.
He's functional. He's functional.
All right, stop. We can't talk about Jordan Howard anymore. I don't want to hear Jordan Howard's name on this show for 3 weeks. Can we make a pact? God. We will not mention Jordan Howard's name on this show for 3 weeks.
So after the draft, when they don't draft the running back and Jordan Howard's pretty much guaranteed to make the roster.
Thank you. I was waiting to say it. I was waiting to say it. Thank you,
we do Johnny's 53-man roster prediction 1.0. We can add him back into the conversation. Not when we do 53-man roster prediction 17.0, but just 1.0.
By the way, if they weren't guaranteed, if they weren't sure of that, why to give him the big old press conference, right? These other guys, the Flaccos, they got a press conference. Why? Because they're going to be on the team. Eric Wilson, why? Because he's going to be on the team. Why give Jordan Howard a press conference then?
Come Monday, Chips and Dish is going to go all about Jordan Howard. There you go. Yeah, you have your own show on Monday.
I already did. I lost my garbage on Monday night with it because I'm so... And again, back to my original point that was, I said 44 minutes ago. I am tired of being an Eagles fan in April right now.
Look. Let's wrap. Johnny, you can go first on this final wrap up of this segment because the first segment of this show, and we're at 45 freaking minutes here, and George wants to go to bed. I know George wants to go to bed. It's like George. 4 a.m. across the pond for him, maybe 3 a.m. I don't know the math there, but let's wrap it up. And I made the wrap up and the sum up question for you guys not because I agree with the question, but because there's a lot of people I interact with on Twitter, and I was told by at least a dozen people that we should not be so critical because we have won a Super Bowl. We have had success with this franchise in the last 20 years, whatever, 13 playoff appearances, how many division titles, whatever it may be. Is there any justification to that thought process as Eagles fans, as Eagles reporters, as Eagles anything? Should we be thinking that way, that we're being a little too critical of this front office? Johnny, I said you go first. You get to go first.
I'm one of the most optimistic.
I know you are. That's why I'm letting you go first.
You're the John Gruden of podcasting.
You are the John Gruden of Eagles podcasting.
I wish I made as much as John Gruden. But what I'll say is I'm going to look and see how they perform this year before I make a full decision. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to still be optimistic and think that this coaching staff is going to be able to get something out of these players. It's my opinion. I'm going to go with what I'm going to see, but it's starting to become a little bit concerning. I'm not going to – they did win a Super Bowl, but I'm not going to give up all hope. So that's – I'm going to stay optimistic.
Jeffrey, are you going to be the John Gruden also, or are you just going to say that no?
No. Look, we're fans.
So we go from John Gruden to who's the most fiery coach out there right now, you know? I don't even know who to compare Jeff to.
I don't know. Knee biter over in Detroit, maybe.
We're fans. We want our team to win. We want success. Just because we're –
hold on. But we have had success. So if you're using this argument, we have had success.
But we want to take that success to the next level. We have finally got that Lombardi trophy. We know what it tastes like. And we want to continue to stay at the top of the mountain and try to be there as a franchise to be considered one of the best in this league. I understand we keep on being compared since 2000 that we have been one of the best, most contending teams in the National Football League. I want to be one of the most contending teams. I want to be the one of the most winning franchises. I want to be the New England Patriots. I want to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hell, I want to be the Dallas Cowboys so that they have 5 Super Bowls. Look, we want to be a winning organization, and as fans, we have every right to be critical. If we feel that our franchise is doing something wrong, we're going to say it. Why sit back and do? What does it matter if we're critical or not? Hell, I don't believe the story about Lurie listening to freaking Philadelphia radio. They probably don't even give a crap about what we say. But as fans, we have every right. We're buying the jerseys. We're buying the merchandise. I'll criticize this franchise and this organization all I want if I freaking want to.
Chipper.
Sorry.
So here's Howie Kegsman's turn.
So here's what I'm going to say. When you have a group project in school, and you've got that one person who doesn't do diddly to help the group out, and they are the loudest ones claiming how excited they are that the group got an A, you hate that person. I have just described Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. We didn't win all those games in the early 2000s because of Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman. We won because of Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb and Brian Dawkins. We didn't win a Super Bowl because of Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. We won because the team decided to not lose the Super Bowl, and Nick Foles put it on them back. This is the new way of doing things, and we're the elite. Yeah, and Jim Johnson, thank you. Blackline_HD, exactly. This team has ownership that is so busy going, look how great we are. Look what we've done. Look what we have given you, Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is like, yeah, and right now you are an embarrassment dumpster fire of an organization. And it's because you won't listen to anybody else. And I have lost the will to live when it comes to talking about the prospects of the 2021 Philadelphia Eagles. And that's what I'm going to say.
All right. So
in April.
April.
We got 2 more segments on this show. One really quick one, and then our poll question of the week that we're going to wrap up with. Mike Kay, great reporter from NJ.com, friend of the show, been on the show, He wrote an article about proposing. I know George is all about cutting Zach Ertz. George is a friend of the show as well. So shouting out George because he's always interacting with all of us. So I love him. He proposed how to get rid of Zach Ertz in an article this week. He proposed the Buffalo Bills. There's a lot of speculation on what the Eagles are going to do at 12. Chip says they trade back. Some say they trade forward. Some say they stick at 12. We're going to get into draft talk in the next week or two as we get closer to the show, or you could just listen to AET Bird's draft talk on Saturday night with Johnny. But he suggested trading with the Buffalo Bills. So this is the trade he proposed, and it works, he said, for both teams. So the Eagles trade Zach Ertz and our second-round pick. Yeah, George, sorry. You didn't say they should or you want them to. You said you think that's what they should do. I get all that. So Zach Ertz and the 37th pick, our second-round pick, to Buffalo for the 30th pick so that we can get back into the first round and get either another wide receiver or another cornerback, whoever it may be. Johnny, as the draft expert, is that a good, fair trade, like equal value there? Ertz getting rid of his contract in 37 for the 30th pick.
Yeah, it's fair compensation because from going from 37 up to 30 is, I believe it's like 150 points or whatever in terms of the draft value chart. So you're adding in a player in 37 because the Bills do need a tight end. That's a big need for them. And they still get 37. It's not like they're dropping in the middle of the second round. They still get a top second round pick to be able to, add to their team, but they get a player of need in Ertz. I think it's a great deal. I would do it.
And do you think, as a draft expert for All About the Birds, what's the wide receiver's name? Marshall or Bateman or?
Yeah. Terrace Marshall.
Terrace Marshall. Will he still be there at 30? Will he still be there at 30?
There's a good possibility. If he's not there, I think Bateman will be there. So you're gonna have an opportunity to draft a very high.
You get Surtain or Horn or one of the cornerbacks at 12. Maybe Micah Parsons if he happens to be there, and they ever decide to draft a linebacker in the first round, and then at 30 you're getting a wide receiver. Yeah, it's a pipe dream, but it's an interesting article, and we got to get creative with getting rid of Zach Ertz so we don't just have to cut him. Jeff, what's your name? Jeff is your name Jeff? Jeff,
sure.
What do you think of this trade proposal from our friend Mike K?
Look, if I'm the Eagles and I get off of this trade, I take it in a second. Look, you're not going to get any better value for Zach Ertz than possibly moving up from the back from the second round and back into the first round. Because honestly, Zach Ertz's value right now, they're going to be lucky if they can move him on day 2 in the third round, or it's probably most likely going to be a day 3 trade somehow that they move on from Zach Ertz. For you to get another top one of the first round talent to fill a position need to get another best player available on your board, I take it. Look, Ertz, he's 30 years old. He's on the down spiral of his career. I understand tight ends can play quite a bit in this league, but he's coming off his career worst season in the National Football League. So for you to be able to get some type of value for him, to get you another playmaker, either on the defensive or the offensive side of the football, I take this as a heartbeat. I don't believe it's happening. I agree with George. It's a freaking pipe dream, but hey,
before we get to you, Chip, Johnny, real quick, we got Jay checking in on YouTube here. Which again, if you're on YouTube, make sure you're subscribing, you're following, you're turning on notifications. We appreciate everybody checking in on YouTube. Kadarius Toney, thoughts on him with that 30th pick there?
Very shifty receiver, but I want Marshall or Bateman. I feel like they fit better on the outside.
Okay. Chip, thoughts on this Mike K proposal?
If it were to happen, I don't even let the phone, fall all the way from my ear before I'm already signing it. However, it's not going to happen.
Look,
in no universe is Zach Ertz qualified to get a 1 right now.
No,
because of everything that Jeff said.
You're swapping 7 spots in the draft and Zach Ertz. So the fact that people think you're trading Zach Ertz for a 1, you're not. You're moving up 7 spots in the draft.
I get it. However, it's not going to happen.
Dream as well. I agree with all of you guys, but I just, we need topics for the show tonight, and I thought it was an interesting topic to discuss.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
look, it's a fantastic deal if you're Philadelphia Eagles. If you're in Buffalo, that's the kind of deal that gets people going. Okay, you're picking up a contract. You're moving us out of the first round. You got a guy who is coming off the career where everything that Jeff said. That's the kind of deal. If you're the Buffalo GM, if it doesn't pan out, you lose a job.
I love this. All right. Final topic.
Can we do a package deal? Can we do a package deal where we also trade Jordan Howard with Zach Ertz?
Can we throw Wilson in the deal too?
To Siberia? I don't even care.
All right. Let's get to our question. And
I know, Jason. I know.
All right. Poll question of the week. So we're going to start sprinkling some draft the next couple of weeks as we lead up to the draft. And again, Thursday night, first night of the draft, the 29th, we are going to be live on the air through the first round, through the Eagles making their selection, whether it's at 12, whether it's at 9, whether it's at, wherever it may be. In the first round, 18, 17, whatever. We're going to be live on the air breaking down every pick and every trade as it happens. So the poll question of the week, since 2000, because I wanted to eliminate some of the early years. Johnny's already jumping in with his answer here. First round draft choices of Eagles since 2000. There have been 20 years there. Worst one ever. Over 200 votes. I put Freddie Mitchell on the list, Danny Watkins, and Marcus Smith, and of course other. Danny Watkins won the vote as expected with 53.7%. Marcus Smith, very close second place at 38%. Now, this was the biggest wide margin. Freddie Mitchell only got 4% of the votes, and other got 4% of the votes. Some of the other names mentioned, Roderick Bunkley, Jerome McDougal, Jalen Reagor got a vote, which I think that's a little soon to say on that. Nelson Aguilar, again, another name that shouldn't have been on the list in my opinion, and Carson Wentz should not have been on the list. But gentlemen, I'll throw it to Jeff Warner first. Who is the worst first-round draft pick the Eagles have ever taken in the last 20 years?
Look, a lot of great names, a lot of quality names that you can definitely choose from for this topic. But I agree, Freddie Mitchell should not be the worst as much as people want to consider him. The fact that he's been a little bit, or he has a lot of memorable moments. He has 4th and 26. He has that big 60-yard catch against Dallas in the Texas Stadium. So I honestly didn't really consider him. My pick for this topic was Marcus Smith. I understand everyone wants to throw Danny Watkins out there, but at least Danny Watkins started games for us. He might not have performed well, but we at least got some type of performance from him. Marcus Smith, in his 3 years here in Philadelphia, played 37 games, didn't crack the starting lineup once, and he only recorded 23 total tackles in 37 games. He recorded less than 1 tackle a game as a first-round pick. And the thing is, Freddie Mitchell and some of these other guys were at least scouted to possibly be a first-round talent. Marcus Smith, I don't feel was Johnny could correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel he was even scouted as a top second round pick, if anything, to be drafted that high. So I'm gonna go with Marcus Smith, just for the fact that he was being selected in the first round. He didn't live up to the hype. He definitely never.
Before we go to Johnny on that, I do have to bring back JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I know he was a second round pick. So as I was preparing for this poll question this week, I'm like, I expected more than 4% to vote Freddie Mitchell. I'm like, well, Freddie Mitchell was worse than JJ Arcega-Whiteside, wasn't he? And then I looked up Freddie Mitchell's stats compared to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I was like, no, Freddie Mitchell looked like a Pro Bowl Hall of Fame player compared to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside's stats.
Freddie Mitchell didn't have the touchdowns that people, and everyone wants to throw Freddie under the bus just because of the fact that they passed up on Chad Johnson, they passed up on Reggie Wayne. So I get after the fact it was a major blunder, but going to that draft, Freddie Mitchell was at least scouted, I believe, to be at least late
talent.
Yeah.
I was surprised that, Freddie Mitchell I think he had 90 catches in his 3-4 years with the Eagles. I was kind of surprised that number was that high. Johnny, I know you voted and you made a comment of one of the others on this and all. So your answer here.
My answer is Jerome McDougal. They traded up in the 2003 draft out of Miami to draft a defensive end, Jerome McDougal, who's better known for not doing anything on the field. And the thing is, right after him, they trade up. Right after him, Troy Polamalu gets drafted. Not saying they would have drafted him because the year before they drafted Michael Lewis, but still, it just shows you they just haven't had success with trading up and drafting a defensive lineman, it seems like. But McDougal, for me, I thought he was going to be a really good player, and he just fizzled out, played, I think, 3 years with him. and didn't do much.
I kind of feel like most of our viewership is too young to realize McDougal and even Broderick Bunkley, how much of a bust they were back in the early 2000s there like that. They were big time. Chip.
So for me, I go a little bit protective here. Asked me a couple years ago, I would have said Marcus Smith easily. But then it starts to come out like after he was done in Philadelphia, then he went to Seattle, had some serious mental stuff where like, he was debating killing himself. And then he kind of did the tell-all thing. And then he went to Washington. It's like, so there was still interest in Marcus Smith even after he left Philadelphia. There wasn't for Danny Watkins. Danny Watkins played a total of 26 games. He played for Philadelphia, kind of. Then he got cut after not being able to recrack the starting lineup. Allegedly spent some time with the Miami Dolphins, and then just all of a sudden started fighting fires. So not only did he fizzle out of the Eagles, but he fizzled out of football. That's how bad he was.
He was always a firefighter. That was
I know. But it's my point of, once again, somebody being in the Philadelphia Eagles organization that isn't necessarily has interest from anybody else in the NFL, a la Jordan Howard. So for me, it is Danny Watkins.
You said no more Jordan Howard.
You said starting next week. You said starting next week. I can still do it a couple more times. So just like Jordan Howard, Danny Watkins had no interest from other NFL organizations. Therefore, Danny Watkins was a gross overdraft. He 23rd pick. He was also drafted in the first round of the Canadian Football League. So like this is a guy that was like, he's going to be great. He was not great. He was really, really bad. So for me, it's Danny Watkins, and Marcus Smith kind of gets the reprieve of, look, he had something bigger than football going on. But even with that, you had other organizations going, let's take a flyer on him. Let's take a chance on him. You didn't have that with Danny Watkins, and that's why he is the winner in my mind.
So before I give my winner on this list and all, again, Marcus Smith, I don't want to sound insensitive putting him on the list because, yes.
No, you're right to put him on the list.
Out afterwards about his issues, and that story really hit home for me when that all came out, and that's something that, really hits home to me. But Freddie Mitchell got my vote. And I love Freddie Mitchell. Everybody loves Freddie Mitchell and his personality. But what did we talk about during Donovan McNabb and Andy Reid's, other than the year and a quarter that T.O. was here? What did we want for Donovan McNabb?
Playmaker.
A wide receiver, a weapon, a number one wide receiver. And we drafted one in the first round, one that we thought, and at least when we drafted him, we thought was going to be that pure weapon for Donovan. And if Freddie Mitchell would have worked out, could you imagine if he lived up to his potential, what that McNabb, Andy Reid era could have been like? And I know he had 3 or 4 big plays in his career, but 3 or 4 big plays and basically disappearing to, James Thrash on the field. I mean, Freddie Mitchell was the biggest disappointment to me ever taken in the first round of 10 years.
I agree with the Freddie Mitchell thing. I mean, look, he played.
And again, if Freddie Mitchell ever wants to come on this show, I would beg and bow down to you to be on this show. But
you look at what he was coming from, where he played for UCLA. He was drafted 25th. But again, that for me, it looks the same way that you're saying, look, he was for Philadelphia for a couple seasons, and then he made the practice squad of Kansas City, but no other NFL organization. That for me is a telltale sign. It really is. If no of the 31 other teams even want to really take a chance on you, then you shouldn't have necessarily been here in the first place.
Well, because he had his antics. I'll say I agree with you. His play probably helped that situation, but him running his mouth consistently, most notably the week before the Super Bowl, and asked who the hell Rodney Harrison is, and Freddie Mitchell got shut out.
That was not a good idea. That was not a good idea.
Yes, and then the whole T.O. debacle. Hell, I love Freddie. I love T.O. They're still running their mouths about Donovan on fucking Twitter right now.
Whoa! Jeff dropping the F-bomb. That's a first.
But
that's a little HUD for me right there.
Let it go. It's how many years old? You're a grown man. You're in your 40s. Just stop talking about it. And you just give people like us things to talk about when it comes to running your mouth like he does.
Right, so next week's poll question, prep for it. We're going to be talking positive. We're going to go to the best first-round selections of the last 20 years.
So Donovan's out.
So we're not always negative. What you say?
So Donovan's out because he was 99. So
exactly. So I've made this time frame specifically so that Mike Mamula and Donovan McNabb were not involved in this conversation. Johnny, what were you going to say?
Well, you threw that out. I was actually going to list every draft pick since 2000, but I won't do that since we're going to be going positive. So I don't want to give people.
We're going to go positive.
I mean, I don't want to give people the ideas.
You know, I'm going to vote for. I'm going to wear my Carson jersey. I'm not going to have it on. I'm going to put it on when we get to the poll question next week, George.
Was Jordan Howard drafted by the Eagles? Just so I know.
Oh my God. Here we go. All right.
no,
it was Chicago. It was Chicago. It was Chicago.
Before I wrap this shebang up for the night, anybody else got anything to throw into this show before we send our parting gifts to everybody?
Can you do a poll question for me? Can you do a poll question for me? And I want you to do it today, which is, or tomorrow, whatever works for you.
Okay. Whatever works for you, Chip.
What do you think, right? Come up with some ideas of what do you think the Eagles story that's going to break this weekend is going to be? Because there's going to be one. There's going to be. So let's just take some guesses. Let's pull our Madame Cleo's.
That idea. And
let's see what happens.
When we get off the air, me and you are going to debate this, and we're going to come up with 4 possible answers here for this one. So anybody still watching, stay tuned to my Twitter account for this poll question of the weekend, because it's not the poll question of the week next week. It's the poll question of the weekend this weekend.
Because I want to see how close we can get. At this point,
we might figure it out.
Because something is going to happen, so we might as well try to get ahead of it, and that way we can really set the trends.
Oh, Jesus. Johnny, you had something to throw out there before Chip's great idea there.
No, I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say anything. I'll let Chip be the last word. I'm not saying anything.
Well, it's good because because that was a good way to end and everything. All right, so let's wrap this partay up. Again, we got to thank our sponsors: Hemp Bombs, 99 jerseys, Manscaped, and Statement Games. AAT Birds is the promo code for the first 3 Statement Games. Actually, sorry guys, I never got the link. Follow me on Twitter at Bearded Knowledge. I get the link on my Twitter page, and it was also up on our show on Tuesday night on Fairway to Heaven. Sign up for Statement Games, great free stuff there. But of course, best way to support this show, to keep this stuff going. Thank you to Blackline. Thank you to Mustang, George, all the people that have been checking in tonight, Johnny Higgins. I'm trying to go through Jay on YouTube. All the people tuning in tonight.
It's fun. I love it.
It was a great show. We love the interaction. That's why we do this live, to get your thoughts and opinions live on the show. Good night across the pond to George. Hopefully he gets 3 hours of sleep tonight. But the best way you can all support us, go onto our website, aatbirds.com/shop. Buy the gear. Johnny's got a new design coming out for Mr. Elite Joe Flacco soon.
Sorry,
we got lots of great designs on that website: hats, shirts, T-shirts, stickers. Even I think they even got masks out there.
We do.
So aatbirds.com/shop. The most important way you can support us. We greatly appreciate it. We got Chowie Kegsman, Chip Keggy at Chip for the Birds right there. We got Spazzy, DJ Jeff Warner at Jeff Warner NFL. We got Johnny U, Mr. College Football and Draft Expert. Johnny U, 9322. I am the Beard of Knowledge. Phil Stifel. Guys, we got great lineups of shows on the All About the Birds Network. Next show is Saturday night. Unless, Johnny, you got something to throw me. Last week you threw me a curveball of switching the time. No?
No
9 o'clock.
Curveball.
9 o'clock Saturday night live draft talk with Tom Barnett. Of course, we got Jeff with Peanut. Peanut wasn't checking in tonight. Where was Peanut tonight? Bird Beer BS guy.
I'll tell you when we get off there.
Okay, let me tell you something. I was waiting to say his line tonight for a donation to my charity. He didn't put it in the comment section. A little disappointed in him because I was going to shout it out at the end of the show. But I'm not going to ignore that. It's a YouTube exclusive show, Birds, Beer, and BS. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. You got Chip Keggy up there with Chips and Dish on Monday night at 8 o'clock. Who knows what he's going to talk about? There's so much that can happen. And of
Philly
course,
suck. That's what happens.
Philly suck. Sixers are great. It's all good. Hold on. I'll switch from my Sixers hat to my Phillies hat to show them some love. And of course, you got Fairway to Heaven Tuesday nights talking all things fantasy golf with me and Jason Sullivan. Guys, great show tonight. Fantastic show tonight, right?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
enjoyed
taking a couple more pot shots at my new favorite Eagle.
Yeah, well, as soon as you click
Fabio
end
Jordan
broadcast,
jersey.
as soon as you hit end broadcast in a second, you can't mention his name for 3 weeks. So as we end
On
every show,
this
guys,
show. On this show.
on this show. All right, as we end every show, guys, go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go
Go
Birds.
Birds.
Support for All About the Birds is brought to you by Manscaped, the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for our listeners, 20% off plus free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. Manscaped hooked us up with a bunch of tools and formulations from their Perfect Package 3.0 kit, including the Lawnmower 3.0, which comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and is waterproof to make your shower shave clean and easy. The Perfect Package also includes a deodorant for your undercarriage to prevent odors and chafing, a reviving lotion, a pair of boxers and a t-shirt, not to mention a travel bag to store all your grooming goodies. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code AATBIRDS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code AATBIRDS. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Your balls will thank you.